time for the Ron and Brian podcast. Get ready to fill your ears with the latest news, politics, current events, and whatever else we feel like talking about this week. And now, your hosts, Ron and Brian.
Good evening, everybody. It is Thursday night, and that can mean only one thing. Time for the Ron and Brian podcast, episode 157 to be exact. BFF Brian in the house. Brian, how are you doing tonight?
Stressed out like a motherfucker.
All right. Well, I guess maybe what you need right now is a drink.
Drink of the week.
Na zdrowie.
Salud.
Drink of the week.
Pleasure.
Drink of the week. Drink of the week. Drink of the week.
All right, Brian, what have you brought to the table this week? Sir, dare I ask, what are you drinking?
All right. What we've got here is from our good friends over at the Mayflower Brewing Company. So we're going up to Massachusetts, Ron. I know you thought lately I've been all about New Jersey. Lately I've been all about New York. I'm about the Northeast. I represent all the states. The 13 colonies is really where it's at. What we're looking at here is Fear and Patience. It is a IPA, an Imperial IPA, that is. We also call that in the business a New England double IPA, coming in at 8%.
Nice.
With an ABV. This beer pours hazy and creamy yellow gold. It has a medium to full body. You're going to be tasting some Mosaic, Sabro, and Azaka hops, which really contribute to the notes of mango, pineapple, papaya, orange, creamsicle, tangerine, and pine.
Killing the beer description as always. Take a sip. Let me know your thoughts. That's it. Drink up like a good boy. Taking a second sip. That's a good sign usually.
It's pretty good.
All right.
It's not very heavy. It doesn't come in very heavy.
Good. That's good for a double IPA. Sometimes they can be a bit much, but that's good. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
I am. Ron, what do you have?
I'm going across the country, digging into my Tavor box. This is Iron Horse Brewery out of Allensburg, Washington. They've got a little something called Quilter's Irish Death, made by Jim Quilters, the founder of Iron Horse Brewing. This is a dark, smooth ale, clocking in at 7.8%. They refer to it, even though it's a dark ale, they refer to it as beer candy. So we're going to find out real quick here.
So we're going out of the can. Why do we sometimes
It is it's complex. I see where they get the candy. I'm not a fan. I'm not gonna lie, but I will drink it. It has to
not
be.
a fan, but you went for 2 sips.
Well, I had
what
to.
Happened?
Every now and then you have to remember or reinforce your first opinion on something. And
okay.
Oof, yeah, that's going to be a rough one to get down.
What is it that you're not enjoying?
It's got a very medicinal, almost cough syrup aftertaste to it. Let me just try this again. Hold on.
Keep working.
Yeah, I get the dark ale, but there's a sweetness there that you really, I don't think, want with the dark ale. I can't pinpoint it, but I'm not thrilled with it.
I'm sorry. I feel like I let you down.
You did not. I'm very happy for your beer, and I will switch up to a better beverage for After Dark, which, as always, if you don't remember, if you're a member of our Patreon, you can join us every Thursday night at 9:30 for our exclusive After Dark broadcast. It's available live to bronze members or higher. So just go to ronandbrianpodcast.com, click in the upper right-hand corner, and you can join us tonight. And since it is the last Thursday night of the month, tonight is our After Dark pajama party, which is always a good time. We'll have some special guests. Everybody gets involved, really, but it is going to be a good time. What is not a good time each and every week is when...
Before we get to beef, can I interrupt you for a moment?
We're not even at beef yet. We have my least favorite segment of the week coming up.
Don't we do beef of the week?
We do This Week in Racism.
Before that,
before.
I want to give a shout out. I would like to interrupt the flow of your show. I'd like to give a shout out. One of our the friends of the one of our largest fan, one of our Patreon subscribers, his presence monthly on our pajama party is kind of the thread that holds the whole thing together. Loyal listener, friend of the podcast, personal friend of yours, mine, Billy. He went in for surgery yesterday. Thoughts and prayers are out to him and his family. It seemed like it was touch and go for a while there. This was something that took us all by surprise.
Interrupt, but didn't he have LASIK surgery on his eyes?
What?
Wasn't it LASIK, like the laser stuff on the eyes? Like, isn't he literally in the audience watching and listening at this moment?
I wanted to just let him know that he and his family are in my thoughts and prayers. I went to St. Patrick's Church today at lunchtime. I lit a candle in his honor,
of course.
I hope that he can pull through. I hope that that everything that the doctors did yesterday will allow him to he'll be back on his feet. Probably in a couple of weeks. There's going to be months of physical therapy, rehab work. But we're pulling for you, buddy. Don't give up.
All right. Well, I guess thoughts and prayers. And on top of that, this week in racism.
This week in racism.
I know you always hope for it, Brian, but 2 full pages yet again this week. Again, think I can keep it to a tight 10 minutes. The clock starts now. An Atlanta restaurant has apologized after former NBA star Dominique Wilkins claimed he was turned away due to the color of his skin. Wilkins posted a picture of French bistro Le Bilboquet on his Twitter account with the hashtag turned away because I'm black. Despite the apology, a number of other comments have arisen on social media from others claiming the same treatment from the restaurant. On Friday, a federal court judge sentenced former St. Paul, Minnesota police officer Brett Polkowitz to 6 years in prison for violating the civil rights of 57-year-old Frank Amal Baker. On June 24th, 2016, Polkowitz and other police officers responded to a call about a large street fight taking place. Baker matched the description of the subject, which led to him being pulled from his car and having a police dog released on him, which began to maul his leg. While Baker was on the ground screaming in pain, Polkowitz kicked Baker in the torso continuously, breaking 7 ribs and causing his lungs to collapse. During the sentencing hearing, Polkowitz apologized to Baker. Baker, who received $2 million in settlement money from the city of St. Paul, said that he forgave Polkowitz a long time ago in order to move past it, but said that he doesn't believe that the former officer's apology was sincere. Going down to Texas, their state Senate passed a bill Saturday that bans critical race theory from being taught in public schools and open enrollment charter schools. House Bill 3979 requires the State Board of Education to develop new state standards for civics education with a corresponding teacher training program to start in the 2022-23 school year. Some of the more controversial aspects of the bill are that teachers must explore current events from multiple positions without giving, quote, deference to any one perspective, and it bars students from getting course credit for civic engagement efforts, including lobbying for legislation or other types of political activism. Also in Texas, Shannon Braun is a candidate for school board in Grapevine, Texas, and also the sister of fixer-upper star Chip Gaines. She's also a vocal supporter of banning critical race theory. Brian, I know this will disappoint you, being the fan of the Magnolia Network that you are, but despite this racist attitude, Chip and his wife and co-host Joanna Gaines have both donated $1,000 to support Shannon's campaign. A $10 billion lawsuit has been filed against McDonald's on behalf of 2 networks owned by media mogul Byron Allen. The lawsuit filed Thursday in Los Angeles Superior Court accuses the fast food chain of refusing to advertise on Black-owned networks, particularly the 12 networks that operate under Entertainment Studios and Weather Group, which are both owned by Allen. A press release regarding the lawsuit notes that McDonald's spends approximately $1.6 billion in advertising annually, but less than $5 million of that money is spent advertising on Black-owned media, despite African Americans making up approximately 40% of McDonald's U.S. sales. A Black man in Illinois has filed a federal lawsuit after officers took a small urn containing his daughter's ashes and saying it tested positive for drugs. Dartavius Barnes was handcuffed and put into a squad car on April 6, 2020, after being pulled over for allegedly speeding and ignoring a stop sign. Officers took the container containing her ashes from his car, and body camera footage shows the officers discussing the contents of the container. Quote, "At first I thought it was heroin, then I checked for cocaine, but it looks like it's probably Molly," one officer said. Barnes' daughter tragically died as a result of starvation and neglect, when her mother and mother's boyfriend being sentenced to decades in prison as a result. A federal district judge has set a jury trial for next year. Also this week, a Massachusetts elementary school teacher was fired after he was exposed as an unabashed white supremacist writer who routinely published his work on white nationalist websites under multiple pseudonyms. 33-year-old Benjamin Welton was fired from Star Academy in Watertown, Massachusetts, where he taught English, social studies, and computer science after he was investigated by a group of researchers called the Anonymous Comrades Collective and then exposed to his employer by the Huffington Post. Dozens of people took to Twitter on Monday to say they received emails with a racial slur from a Walmart account after someone created fake accounts with their addresses on the company's site. An auto-generated welcome to Walmart email, which was sent to the accounts after they were signed up for a Walmart shopping account, contained the N-word. Despite not sending the emails, Walmart still apologized for them, with spokesperson Molly Blakeman saying in a statement that an external bad actor created fake user accounts with obvious intent to offend their customers. Police in Mississippi have sparked anger after 4 white officers with dogs posed for a photo with a captured black suspect. The officers from Prentice Police Department took the picture after arresting Eric Boykin for an alleged bank robbery. Social media users were quick to draw attention to the optics of the police department's photo, which we will pull up here real quick, which is basically staged like a hunting photo, as they have the suspect down on the ground, have the dogs on him, and the police are surrounding him. Brian, you're an impartial observer. Thoughts on the optics of this photo?
Those are really cute dogs. Those are really cute dogs. They're just adorable. I mean, what are they? What are those, beagles?
Those are beagles, yes.
Yeah, those are cute dogs.
Former NFL offensive lineman and assistant coach Eugene Chung commented during a recent webinar that once during an interview for an NFL job, he was told, quote, "You're really not a minority." When Chung pressed the interviewer to explain further, he said he was told that he was not the right minority that we're looking for. The NFL has stated they will review the allegations. Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf issued a letter regarding the celebration upcoming of Juneteenth, in which he commented, "Sadly, the continued death of African Americans at the hands of police are painful reminders that racism and intolerance are still with us today." Many blue tears ensued, and the Pennsylvania State Troopers Association is now asking for an apology. An Amazon construction site in Windsor, Connecticut has been shut down after several nooses were found hanging around the facility. USA Today reports that the first noose was found at the site on April 27th, hanging from a steel beam on the second floor of the building, according to Windsor Police Captain Andrew Power. 2 days later, 5 more ropes that, according to Power, could be interpreted as nooses were found. Amazon is closing the site while security measures are put in place, company spokesperson Brian Griggs said at an NAACP news conference. And a 77-year-old Florida woman faces a felony battery charge after police say she threw a burger at a Burger King employee before calling her several racial slurs. Judith Ann Black was not satisfied with the Whopper sandwich she had ordered, complaining that the tomatoes were cut too thickly, and yelled at an employee at the Burger King restaurant in Wildwood, Florida. Then Black threw the Whopper at the employee, hitting her in the back while calling the employee a, quote, "stupid black bitch," a black N-word, and saying, "fuck you, black N-words." because
And what was her last name?
Ironically, Black. Because she used racial slurs, Black is facing a felony charge of evidencing prejudice while committing an offense instead of a misdemeanor battery charge. And we've got one final story, and it's a racism rewind.
Racism rewind.
Amy Cooper, better known as Central Park Karen, has filed a federal lawsuit against her former employer a year after she called police on a black bird watcher in Central Park and was fired. She argued in a lawsuit filed in Manhattan federal court late Tuesday that she was fired by investment firm Franklin Templeton the next day without an investigation and that she was falsely portrayed as racist in a tweet announcing her firing. According to the suit, Cooper said she suffered, quote, such severe emotional distress that she was suicidal, and she is alleging race and gender discrimination, defamation, negligence, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. And Brian, that is the week in racism.
Coming in at what looks like, I'm going to guess, 8 minutes and 40 seconds.
All right. I told you. I try and keep it tight just for you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, there's still a lot of horrible actors out there in America. Just when you think that, we may have made the turn and started to see things, making some improvements, you're just reminded that there are just some terrible people still out there.
Yep, without a doubt. Well, let's hear about the terrible things in our lives, Brian. It's Beef of the Week.
Ron and Brian's Beef of the Week.
Brian, what's bothering you this week?
I would like you to start.
Oh,
because
right.
my beef leads into what would Ron do.
Oh, okay, even better. So I will start with my beef this week, Brian. My beef this week is water. And I know you're saying to yourself, Brian, water. Water is the stuff of life. Hydrogen water is the best thing on the planet. It is so good for us. However, when is water not good, Brian? When you come back,
it's coming out of your septic tank.
When you come back from a night on the road for work and you go down into your basement and you step into a big puddle of water because you have a leak coming through one of your basement walls somewhere. That is what I came home to today. At the very least, there wasn't a ton of damage, and I feel like I know where the water's coming from, but it is just a tremendous pain in the ass.
Is it dried out down there?
It's drying out. It comes in when it rains heavily. So we got to get another section of the basement waterproofed. So that is always exciting.
Why don't you just get the whole basement waterproofed?
It's expensive to waterproof areas, and it's a big basement.
Ron, you're working now. You have to stop. You have to stop acting like it's 2020 Ron. 2020 Ron was unemployed, was living off the government dole. 2020 Ron was watching every penny. 2021, this is hot Ron summer coming up. Ron is affluent. Ron is well-to-do. Ron is a man that is not held down by his checkbook, by his bank book, by his notebook.
Okay. In the meantime, Brian, what's your beef?
All righty. My beef. Apple. Okay. The Apple Store. Apple products. Apple technology. Apple policies.
Tim Apple.
Apple prices.
Okay.
So going last week, I mentioned that my MacBook Air that I had was damaged in a visit to a friend. In fact, it was my What Would Ron Do last week.
It was, yeah.
So this week, I brought my MacBook into the Apple Store. The screen on the laptop is completely broken. There is one little, diamond-shaped area of the screen that's showing a rainbow-colored fuse of colors, but you can't see anything. Bring it into the Apple Store. I say to them, how much will this cost to fix?
And the verdict?
How much okay, this is a MacBook Air. It is a 2019 version. that I purchased in January of 2020.
Okay. And you just
Ron,
replace the screen is what you're saying.
Take the screen out, put a new screen in, plug it in. How much will that cost?
I mean, again, it's probably the part is expensive, but you're literally just taking one piece off and swapping on another. I'm going a couple $100 would be reasonable to me.
$470.
The hell you say? That's way.
The part was going to be about $300. Labor was going to be $170.
They fuck you with the labor every time.
So I say to them, okay, what are my options here? Well, do you have the Apple Care package?
Of course not. Only suckers buy Apple Care.
Why would I get Apple Care for $300 on a laptop that I'm only spending $1,000 on?
Exactly.
I don't have Apple Care. So then she goes, ooh. At this point, I say, hey, would I be able to bring this to a third party?
Oh, they don't like that.
Repair person. And I was expecting to hear, warrant, blah, 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 blah. She said, you could, but, she goes, we don't, we can't stand by the product after that. I'm like, all right, I get it. I said, well, could I trade it in? How much do you think a 15-month-old MacBook Air with a damaged screen, what do you think the trade-in value is?
I mean, I'm going to go low because we already know that it's $470 to replace the screen. So now you're looking at a $530 value depreciating over 15 months. I think they're going to give you $4.
No. They offer me $200.
I mean, not great, but better than if you went to GameStop, let's say.
GameStop to the moon. They then offered me $190 because I did not bring in the power cable.
Oh, they fuck you. Every little bit of the way, they're going to screw you over.
This is fucking ridiculous that they're literally going to charge 50% of what I paid for a product just to replace the screen. And then they're going to offer me such a pittance, a Brad pittance for a trade-in value of this, which leads me to, drum roll, please. What would Ron do?
So we're switching now from beef of the week to what would Ron do? Good question.
All right, Ron. I'm at the Apple store.
Right.
I've got a damaged MacBook Air.
Okay.
Screen gone. They are offering me $190 to trade it in. They are offering me an invoice of somewhere, but it was I think it was like $450 to $470 to repair this machine.
Right.
Then the price for a new MacBook was like over $1,000 for MacBook Air, $1,400 for a MacBook Pro. What would Ron do?
I mean, given the age of it and the fact that you don't have Apple Care, I might have at least priced out what a third-party repair shop would have cost to replace the screen, and then gotten as much use out of that in total. Because again, if they were giving you more money, like if they're giving you like $400 for a trade-in, let's say, I think that would be reasonable. But I mean, there's a reason I still have like most of my my MacBooks previously, because they're not worth trading in. I'm not sure I record on one and then I use another one to read the news off of. But yeah, I don't know that I would necessarily trade it in. I probably would have found a place locally to replace the screen and then, gotten whatever additional use I could have out of it. Now, some other suggestions. Pooping on their floor was a suggestion, as well as pulling a January 6th tourist move. That also, I think, would have been acceptable given the situation. That is what would Ron do. Any questions?
Okay. No, thank you.
All right.
I appreciate your wise guidance.
Yeah, anytime. Can I
now? Do you want to know what I did?
Oh yeah, go right ahead, please tell me.
I traded in for 190 and upgraded to a MacBook Pro and signed up for the Apple Care package for $300.
And will you be more careful with your laptop moving forward?
I will be more careful, except that my fucking MacBook with the M1 Apple chip doesn't recognize a Yeti external microphone.
Oh, and you had to get different connectors probably because it's the USB-C plugs on there, right?
Oh, I've got a USB-C
Oh, you
hub.
you got the whole hub going on. I forgot about that.
So,
accessory.
To make a long story short, I'm using my work laptop right now.
All right, sounds good.
So I spent $1,700 to upgrade my laptop, and I can't fucking use it for the one thing that I need it for.
Maybe you'll have it set up for next week. Thoughts and prayers. Can we make the big announcement, Brian, which you somewhat alluded to earlier? But since we are coming into Memorial Day weekend, the unofficial start of the summer, we are very proud to announce that we are labeling this upcoming summer Hot Podcaster Summer.
Hot Podcaster Summer.
So we encourage all of you to support us by using the hashtag Hot Podcaster Summer. Yes, Brian, how can I help you?
Can you play that again?
Sure.
Hot Podcaster Summer.
Yes.
The sound effects at the end.
Yes, what about them?
I'm hearing the crack of a whip.
Yep, you would be correct.
I'm then hearing the sound of 14-year-old me creaming in my pants when Samantha Fox video came on the box.
That's interesting. Let me try it again.
Hot Podcaster Summer.
You don't find it distracting, though.
Do I find that distracting? No, it just brings me back to some fond memories of my childhood.
So again, it's summer. Last year was what was it? Hot girl summer. Chet Hanks has tried to make it white boy summer. But no, we are taking control. We are taking control of our destiny. And again, officially calling it hashtag Hot Podcaster Summer.
Hot Podcaster Summer.
Lisa's asking, are we doing expect an OnlyFans? Well, we are in the process of getting an OnlyFans account set up and getting some content on there. So, yes.
I will be, and I'll be showing my feet. I have no problem putting feet photos up on our. Is it the official Ron and Brian podcast OnlyFans page?
It will be, yes.
Okay.
And Billy bringing up a good point, making a nice Samantha Fox reference. Naughty girls need $900 too.
Yes, and the loyalty of Billy. Watching the show from his hospital bed in ICU, it's just warms the cockles.
You know what I'm most excited about Billy's improved vision? What I'm most excited for him for? That he will be able to so clearly see Hot Podcaster Summer.
Hot Podcaster Summer.
Okay.
Now, I have a question.
Yes.
You worked on that with Matt, our Beaker, our loyal producer.
Yes.
What instructions did you give him to make that bumper? What were your exact words that came up with a sunset scene, text over it, followed by the sound of a crack of a whip and the sound of 14-year-old me creaming my pants?
I said I want something that is sexy yet classy at the same time.
Okay.
And sophisticated.
Now, where do you see the sophistication?
I think the font that is used in the graphic.
Can I see the font? Can you show me one more time so I can see the font?
Sure.
Hot Podcaster Summer.
That is a classy font. that does speak to a certain level of sophistication that the fans have come to expect from the Ron and Brian podcast.
Yes.
Now, where did you think what part of your instructions to him caused him to think that adding the crack of a whip was something we wanted?
I think he felt maybe that was sexy in a way.
So Matt went rogue.
Well, I gave him creative license, and this is what he came back with. And I'd left it in your email box to review prior to the show, and I know you were having some computer difficulties, so you probably didn't get a chance to check it. So I just was like, well, Matt, load it up, and we'll see how it goes. And I mean, I'm not saying it's his best work, but I think it's work.
His best work was Stonks. We know that.
Stonks.
So yeah, Stonks is a hit. Hot Podcaster Summer.
Hot Podcaster Summer.
Not as much so, but that is not going to take away from how hot this Podcaster Summer is. That is how hot it is. That is how good it is. So remember, moving forward on all of your social media, make sure you use hashtag Hot Podcaster Summer.
And then can you have the crack of the whip emoji followed by the
I'm not sure how you would capture that in emoji, but we'll have to work on that.
Question. Is that the noise you make when you cream your pants or when you shit your pants?
That is a good question.
I feel like it could be used for both. Like you're sitting there, you've just had some Taco Bell, you got back on the highway, the rest stop's not for another 20 minutes, and out of nowhere, you're just like, as the seat of your pants fill up with your molten liquid diarrhea.
Some stuff in the comment section. Billy is asking, should we start using that hashtag today? Now more than ever. Even though it is not officially summer, it is fine to start using the hashtag Hot Podcaster Summer. And also, it was going on earlier, and I have to apologize to Janelle because she complimented me, and I didn't give her any recognition. She made a comment about Skinny Ron. So yes, thank you. And that's really part of the reason that it is going to be Hot Podcaster Summer, because I'm living my best life in my best body. And it has to be hashtag Hot Podcaster Summer.
Hot Podcaster Summer.
Keep speaking truth to power. Keep speaking truth to power.
And Lisa brings up a good point. Everything's ruined because now she can only associate it with adolescent Brian.
Adolescent me were very tight and short shorts. So I would stick my body. Also, in recognition of Hot Podcaster Summer, I would like to personally thank the kind people at the Tribeca Film Festival.
Yes.
Who were very kind enough to issue us, obviously they recognize that this is Hot Podcaster Summer.
Right.
They issued us press credentials for the film festival. We have access to all the movies that are going to be shown. And in a true sign of just how much they recognize the Hot Podcaster Summer is that we don't actually have to attend any of the galas.
No.
We'll be able to watch these movies streaming on our home devices, which we will then speak about. So for the next, I believe it's the 2nd through 3rd week of June, What Are You Watching will be packed filled with Tribeca Film Festival premieres.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what is available to watch. And yeah, we'll be discussing some of the movies each and every week.
Yes.
So now, what else do we have this week? Coronavirus, Brian. We've got continuing relaxed restrictions for coronavirus. Some exciting news in New York. First with Stephen Colbert and The Late Show announcing that he is going to return to full capacity with a vaccinated audience. He did return to the Ed Sullivan Theater back in August of 2020 to do shows, but with limited staff and limited attendance. But now, a 400-seat theater, he will fill it. Guests on the show will need to present proof that they've received the COVID-19 vaccine. Audience members will need to show that as well. The staff and crew members will continue to be tested regularly and monitored for symptoms, and face masks will be optional for audience members since they will all be vaccinated.
Also, another sign that New York is back. Radio City Music Hall, home to, my favorite holiday tradition, which is the Christmas Spectacular with the Rockettes. Radio City will be reopening on June 19th at 100% capacity, with the restrictions of everybody in attendance needs to be fully vaccinated. And what is going to be the very first event at Radio City when it reopens will be the closing show of the Tribeca Film Festival, which is a untitled Dave Chappelle documentary, which is going to be about Chappelle's life in Ohio during the pandemic, during the George Floyd protests, when Chappelle decided that his small town needed some entertainment, and he put on comedy shows starring some of the best comedians in the world that he put on for a social distance crowd in his hometown.
All right. Also in New York City, Mayor Bill de Blasio announced on Monday that New York City is going to eliminate remote learning for the next school year. All students and staff members will be back in school buildings full time come this September.
Let's get these kids back on the subway. So when Brian's going to work and coming back, now guaranteed he will never get a seat, as there will be annoying teenagers fighting and running around as if this is a playground. Great call, de Blasio. Really glad to see the kids back on the subways this coming September.
And this comes after Governor Murphy of New Jersey announced last week that state would no longer have remote classes. Leaders in Massachusetts and Illinois, along with San Antonio, say there will be extremely limited remote options. Educated officials in Florida said they will probably reduce or eliminate online courses. But Houston continuing to keep remote options for fall, as will Philadelphia. I think the challenge for some of these school districts is the fact that, we're just finally getting, kids in the 12 to 17 year age range vaccinated, and we're still waiting on emergency approvals for kids younger than 12 to receive these vaccines. Hopefully we can get the kids vaccinated prior to going back to school. So it would be a little upsetting if there is no remote options, if parents don't feel safe sending their kids back. But we shall see. New York made their decision.
Do you believe that the vaccinations need to be mandatory for kids returning to school?
I do. Yes. You have to be vaccinated against a lot of other communicable diseases. You have to have your measles, mumps, rubella.
But what about wait? Well, are we just going to name things that we need to be vaccinated for? Because I'm down for that. Rubella, typhoid,
whooping cough,
whoop whoop,
the hantavirus. Sorry. Oh, Billy brings up a very good point. Why do the kids need to be vaccinated when they don't have the receptors?
Oh, they do have the receptors. We just have one listener who argues that because Dr. Drew said that they don't have the receptors, that they don't have the receptors. In fact, the same listener sent me a link to a Fox News video about, I forgot what it was. It was, fuck it, never. It's on, but it was two people being interviewed on Fox News. And what they had to say was actually interesting. but because they were saying it on Fox News and the questions from the anchor were such steered towards, but don't you think this is outrageous? I think it was about forcing vaccinations and whatnot. And I just said, I cannot accept propaganda in my brain. I do not accept MSNBC. I do not accept Fox News. I barely accept CNN. Propaganda, I just do not want to expose my brain to. What I will expose my brain to, Hot Podcaster Summer.
Oh, you have to. Everybody needs to experience Hot Podcaster Summer.
Hot Podcaster Summer.
Also, on the fringe of coronavirus, there is a nestled in the woods of western Montana. There is a very lovely 2-bedroom cabin that was listed on Airbnb, promising guests a safe place to rest, relax, enjoy nature and the surrounding activities. With one catch, they were not allowing vaccinated visitors to rent the cabin. It said, we are restricting the cabin to non-COVID vaccinated guests only for the health and safety of not only other guests, but also ourselves. All COVID vaccinated guests are asked to find another vacation rental that allows vaccinated guests. Brian, you might be asking, why would they not want people vaccinated in the cabin? Well, in the Airbnb listed, it says that it has been scientifically proven that people who have received vaccines that use mRNA technology, such as the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, shed proteins through their skin or breath and pass those along to unvaccinated people. Now, obviously, that vaccine shedding myth is just that, a myth, and Airbnb has actually deactivated the listing because it's, I don't know, it was just very stupid.
Does Moderna the gold standard? Does Moderna, the gold standard, use the mRNA technology?
Yes, as does Pfizer.
The silver standard.
The silver standard.
Do you know that I actually found myself saying the gold standard at work today?
About Moderna?
Yeah. Oh, no. Whenever I'm talking to somebody about vaccines and they mention and Moderna comes up, I'm like, yeah, Moderna, the gold standard.
Well, and funny you should say that. We were sitting around at a work dinner last night and everybody was vaccinated and everybody got saying, oh, Pfizer. And I was like, oh, Moderna. And someone else was like, oh, yeah, I got Moderna. I'm like, oh, yeah, well, Moderna is the gold standard of vaccines. And they were like, really? I'm like, why, yes, it is.
I love that so much because my experience with it is that when you say it, there is an automatic air of authority that seems to go along with it, that people genuinely immediately start questioning their comfort having received Pfizer.
Right. And if you say it with like a level of confidence, like I did, like it was just very much in passing, like, oh yeah, no, I got Moderna too, Ron. Oh, well, good. Because it is the gold standard of vaccines. Really?
Yes, that's awesome.
Of course, no, thankfully no one mentioned they had the J&J vaccine because I didn't want to have to, dump on them a little bit. But again, regardless, get a vaccine out of all of them.
Just get vaccinated. Yep. People get vaccinated. It's been tested. It's gone through a rigorous protocol with the FDA. There have been tens of thousands of people. Actually, all joking aside, 100 million people have been vaccinated worldwide.
I think you're looking at 100 million worldwide. That could be. That number sounds about right.
10,000 people have been vaccinated and then later tested positive for COVID.
Right. So the percentage
those
even
odds
than anticipated.
I will accept those odds on any given day.
All right. Brian, political shenanigans are afoot again, this time in upstate New York, in the quaint little city of Rochester, New York, where their mayor, Lovely Warren, said last week that her husband's cocaine and firearms arrest was politically motivated. Apparently, the police raided her house, charged her husband. He was part of apparently a drug operation. He was busted with 2 kilos of cocaine, 3 guns and more than $100,000. They apparently found also 2 ounces of coke and an unregistered gun at the house where Timothy Grayson lives with his wife, Mayor Lovely Warren. But she feels that the timing of the arrest is very suspect because it's going on during this political season, and she just happened to mention that his court date is June 21st, the day before primary day. So she's like, well, that's quite the coincidence, but I don't know.
Is she denying that he had a kilo of cocaine in their home?
She doesn't really address the issue. Now, again, she is also facing campaign finance fraud charges, and she accused the Monroe County DA, Sandra Doonley, of making a deal with a convicted criminal to harm the mayor because allegedly the DA was upset at the mayor for supporting her opponent. But yeah, she doesn't really address the fact that he was holding a large quantity of cocaine. He has pleaded not guilty to 3 felony drug and gun charges. 6 other people are also facing charges in connection with the drug ring. The mayor is not charged at all. But again, she feels her husband being arrested for coke and guns politically motivated.
I'm not saying that it's not politically motivated. I'm going to say the timing seems very suspicious.
Well, apparently this is a 7-month investigation that I guess they finally decided it was time to move on. I don't know.
How long did they sit there and let that kilo of cocaine just collect dust?
I mean, who really wants to be mayor of Rochester anyway?
Not I.
The only good thing about Rochester, Nick Tahoe, and the garbage plate.
What is a garbage plate? I will ask you because it is tradition for Democratic presidential candidates when they are campaigning in New York to visit this uptown city of Rochester and order a garbage plate. If I remember correctly, I believe it was not this presidential cycle, but the one previous in 2016. I do not remember which of the Democratic candidates refused to order a garbage plate and caught a lot of flack in the New York press.
It's a very healthy dinner option. So basically you have a couple of hot dogs, a couple of hamburgers, a couple of cheeseburgers, or a mix of one or the other. No buns, just the meat. You get potato salad, macaroni salad, some potato wedges, and then the entire plate is covered in a meat sauce. And then there are different variations depending on where you are. You can get some hot sauce on there, maybe some chopped red onion. It's it sounds very weird, but it is surprisingly delicious.
I'm not saying it's not delicious. I'm saying it's painfully unhealthy for you.
Oh yeah, no, it is.
You're telling me you're eating multiple hot dogs. You're eating several burgers.
Right.
What sounds like a pound of potato.
It's a lot of there's a lot of salad on that between the macaroni. It's carb heavy without a doubt. And then you get the meat sauce on top of there. No, it's if you're drunk, it's the perfect food. Personally,
yes. I remember one time in college, I was at a leather bar, and I got some meat gravy poured all over me. The night did not go the way I was expecting it to.
And even that, Brian, even as hot as that story is, not as hot as Hot Podcaster Summer.
Hot Podcaster Summer.
I'm going to tell you something. Without that sound effect of the crack of the whip and the moan, not Beaker's, not Matt Beaker's best work.
Right.
But add on the crack of the whip and the moan, second to Stonks.
Okay. I like that. That's impressive. We talked about Texas and This Week in Racism, as we often do. Texas, home of critical race theory laws. And now they want to allow their citizens to carry handguns without permits or background check or training in any way, shape, or form.
Open carry.
So state lawmakers approved the controversial bill this past Monday that would lift some of the remaining gun carry restrictions in the Lone Star State. And Governor Greg Abbott, to no one's surprise, has said he plans to sign it into law.
Darwinism, let them kill each other. Let them kill each other. I don't live in Texas. I don't plan on going to Texas. If I went to Texas, I would be afraid the entire time I was in that state. Everybody's going to have a gun. They will be used frequently during disputes that handguns normally would not be making an appearance in. People are going to get hurt. People will die. And as a result of that, I will be in the Northeast looking at them saying, that's a shame.
Yeah. Now, surprisingly, there are almost 24 states that allow some type of unregulated handgun carry, but none have a population as large as Texas. There would still be some limits on the new law if it goes into effect. Federal background checks would still be required for some purchases. The law says anyone over 21 can carry a gun, except those who can't because of a violent crime conviction or who are otherwise legally barred from having a gun. And businesses can still ban guns on the property.
Yeah, but in the same way that businesses in Texas can still require mask use. Right. That's going to go over very well. The governor says I can carry my handgun in this store. You can't tell me what to do. Stand your ground. Stand your ground. Stay.
Yeah, no. Texas wants to fight Florida in being the worst state in the country.
Yes, Texas is an outrage when the president's dead. I fucked up the lyrics. It's a Misfits. Texas is the reason when the fucked it up. Anybody know the lyrics?
I don't know the lyrics. One would think the fact that someone missed a Halloween party to go to a Misfits concert would know the lyrics, but
it's like Texas is an outrage when the president's dead. Texas is the reason that you picked up his head. Texas is the reason that the president's dead. Fuck, something along those. God damn it! Do we not have one Misfits fan in the comment? Oh, hold on a second. I saw a comment earlier. You don't have to put it up. Somebody asked for an update on my knee to see how my knee was doing.
Yes.
I want to thank. I'm not sure. I forgot who it was, but I want to thank them for asking for caring for an update. I'm getting an MRI on my left knee on Saturday. The knee is improving. I've been doing physical therapy twice a week. Currently, the thought process is that I have bursitis in the back of the left knee. How this is going to be long-term treated, maybe amputation. We're going to find out. Maybe by the time we do the show next week, I will have an answer.
I mean, I certainly hope not. You're not that mobile on two legs. I can't imagine what one leg would really do.
Remember when I was falling over a lot?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm referencing. You'd be walking down the sidewalk and like there'd be a little dip in the curb, and you just go right down. Billy said you can join him in the ICU as he heals from his eye surgery.
Thoughts and prayers. He must be using some type of speech to text device plugged into his because there's no way. With the limited use of his hands at this point, due to the surgery and for HIPAA reasons.
He's not using like the little eye operated computer that Stephen Hawking used to. He's not at that point yet.
You might suck my dick.
I was like, please don't make a Stephen Hawking joke. The poor man.
I think I just put my hand.
This was a great story because it's just one of the most absurd things I've read all week. Is John Cena apparently could be seen by the Chinese after he made a comment about Taiwan that they considered very upsetting. He appears in the latest Fast and Furious release, F9, in an interview with a Taiwanese broadcaster to promote the film earlier this month. He said Taiwan is the first country that can watch F9, sparking backlash immediately in China, which considers Taiwan a self-governing island state, part of its territory. So John Cena on Tuesday posted a video on Chinese social media Weibo saying he's sorry and professing his love for China. Speaking in Mandarin, he said, "I made one mistake. I have to say something very, very important now. I love and respect China and Chinese people. I'm very, very sorry about my mistake. I apologize. I'm very sorry." Apparently, apology not good enough for many Chinese people who said that he stopped short of saying that Taiwan is part of China.
Right. Well, I think it's safe to say that that he opens his mouth, fucked up, and then his corporate overlord said to him, "Back that shit up, because we want to make money in China."
And it is interesting. The New York Post, as much as I hate to admit it, had a column this week that really I think hit a good point where celebrities are very quick to criticize America. They were certainly very quick to criticize the previous administration, but for a country like China, all of a sudden it becomes hands off. And
No.
You follow that up with Mark Ruffalo and his apology on Twitter earlier this week, where he apologized for insinuating that what Israel was doing to the Palestinians was a genocide. He walked those comments back. So it does seem, Israel and China are two entities that Hollywood is very afraid of offending.
After the Holocaust, Ron, I know you want to forget about it with your German heritage, but after the Holocaust, I think we need to be a little sensitive to the plight of the Jews and their desire to not get wiped out off the face of the planet.
Now, unless you are Marjorie Taylor Greene, however, you can refer to getting vaccinated as the Holocaust. And the GOP will say how disappointed they are and outraged in your comments, but you will still not be censored or required to.
And they will do nothing. They will do nothing.
Exactly. What else we got here? We got the Bitcoin pizza guy who apparently had squandered a lot of Bitcoin money back in May 2010. A California student by the name of Jeremy Sturdivant noticed a bizarre request on a cryptocurrency internet forum. He could receive 10,000 Bitcoins, which at the time were worth $41, in exchange for the delivery of 2 large pizzas to Florida resident Laszlo Hanyans. So Sturdivant filled the order, sent him 2 large pizzas, cheese and supreme from Papa John's, a transaction that would become the first physical purchase made with Bitcoin in history, marked by the annual Bitcoin Pizza Day on May 22nd. Sturdivant did not save the Bitcoins for the future, instead spending all of them on travel. However, today, those 10,000 Bitcoins would have been worth roughly $365 million. So,
what? Whoa.
Yes.
This guy had, and he's saying he doesn't regret it?
He's saying that he had no idea how big it would become. He said he was just happy to be part of the phenomenon. I mean, if you want to see how outrageous this got, this guy who ordered the pizzas actually went on to spend 100,000 Bitcoin on pizzas in the summer of 2010, which now would have been worth $3.8 billion.
How do we get some Bitcoin?
I mean, now you buy it.
I want to mine it. How do I mine Bitcoin?
Apparently you need a lot of computers and a lot of power and a lot of time.
I clearly can't figure out how to use computers. I mean, figuring computers out is not my thing.
Listen,
I don't have time.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that if you can't pair your microphone with your new MacBook Pro, maybe cryptocurrency is not your path to riches.
Okay.
I say that with love.
Should I buy Ethereum?
I mean, that's another cryptocurrency. I feel
like, hold on. Time out, Ron.
Yeah.
I feel like we have just somehow organically transitioned to another segment of this show that we like to call Stonks.
Have we now?
Stonks.
Ron,
Yeah.
should I invest in Ethereum?
I'm not a fan of cryptocurrency. I just, it seems.
But yet you sold our entire portfolio one week to buy AMC while it was in bankruptcy and unable to operate. You were like, I'm putting all of our money in AMC.
Let it ride. Listen, but at least I know what AMC is. I've been to an AMC movie theater. I get the concept. I still don't know how you work in cryptocurrency, how you buy things, how you sell things, how you even have it in a wallet of some sort.
It is currently white collar gambling in its most purest form. It is not a digital currency because it is still tied to a dollar value. The dollar is the currency.
They assign it a dollar value, but it's not tied. It's not backed by anything. It's not like, it's not like the US dollar that is backed by the gold standard. It's not like stonks that are backed by the companies that issue them. Yes.
Ron, you need to go back to the early 1970s under Nixon. The U.S. dollar has not been tied to the gold standard for probably about 50 years.
That is what they want.
The dollar is worthless. The dollar is literally a piece of paper with the idea that we have all bought into, that there is value assigned to it.
I mean, maybe you should run the stonk segment then. I'm sorry, what?
If you say the stonk segment, you must play.
Stonks.
We do have
Ron, your bumpers are literally the equivalent to playing with a puppy. The dopamine that is released from my brain when I hear boom, 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 boom.
I think what we need to do is we need to make stonks into an NFT and then sell that, because I feel our listeners would pay thousands of dollars to have stonks as an NFT.
Now, will we owe Pink Floyd any money on that NFT sale?
I don't believe so, because I did not use their actual recording. I used some random piano recording. Now that guy, we might owe some money.
Yeah.
And whoever designed the meme that I stole as well.
Why don't we do it? Get sued.
Yeah, why not? You know what else we need to, I think, issue as an NFT?
Hot Podcaster Summer.
That might
just ask. I only say this because I was not involved in the production of it. You and Matt Beaker were. Where did the moan come from?
I can't comment on that. Perhaps if you're the top bidder for the NFT, I can let you in on some of the behind the scenes making of.
Ron, is there any doubt that I will not be that I'm going to be the top bidder? I will be the top bidder.
Billy's asking, can he buy the stonks NFT with Bitcoin? I mean, I guess. And then I
think it's only Ethereum. I think we'll only be using Ethereum.
Would we not accept Dogecoin for that?
No, I refuse to. That never even hit $1.
Okay. It got close. I mean, you could have made some money on it.
Well, I think a lot of people made money. I think a lot of people lost money.
All right. Like a lot of
people. Speaking of losing money, Ron, how is Labor Smart?
I mean, Labor Smart right now holding right around 2.9 cents. They are working on getting their financials in order, getting current on the OTC Pink. I think we will see some movement there. Also, another stock that we recommended a while back, that was, I always pronounce it wrong. Iterum Therapeutics, who released information today that they had a meeting with the FDA yesterday regarding approval of a new drug from theirs on July 25th. The meeting went very well. So well that their stock jumped up about 24% in after hours. So we are very excited about that. But again, the catalyst is coming July 25th when we expect FDA approval on this new therapeutic drug. And then, as we say, to the moon. And that, my friend, is stonks.
Stonks.
What else do we have this week, Brian? Oh, we don't always do this, but we do have our very special Florida segment, and we did have
Murder.
we did have two stories that clocked in. The first one, a nearly naked Florida woman arrested after a high-speed car chase. Rachel Stefanich, age 24, is accused of fleeing from a trooper who tried to pull her over along Interstate 75 in Hernando County on Saturday morning. She allegedly reached speeds in excess of 100 miles per hour in a stolen Cadillac sedan as she tried to get away from deputies. She made it to State Route 52 before authorities were able to stop her. And then she was nearly fully unclothed when she was apprehended for some reason.
Now, based on her mugshot, Ron, would you describe her as an attractive woman? The kind of woman you want to see almost nude?
All I'm going to say is, and it was one of those photos that before you read the charges, you knew that meth was going to be involved in some way, shape, or form. And yes, she was charged with grand theft auto, reckless driving, fleeing and eluding, possession of methamphetamine, and driving with a suspended license.
Meth is such a bad drug.
It's addictive. I think it's as bad as opioids.
Probably worse.
Probably. And also, and this was actually a pretty sad story, a 3-year-old boy in Florida found a gun inside a couch and shot a 2-year-old girl inside their home while 3 grown-ups were busy watching basketball late Saturday night. I haven't been able to get an update on the girl's condition. Then on top
Stop.
Yeah.
Did you just say that a 3-year-old
Mm-hmm.
found a loaded gun
Correct. In a
in a
couch.
sofa
Correct.
and shot a 2-year-old with it
Yes.
while there were adults in the home?
Yes, you are correct. And then on the way to the hospital, as they drove the girl to the hospital, they were involved in a 2-car crash. And then a Good Samaritan took the child to the hospital. The hospital was shot once in the chest, sustained serious injuries to her internal organs, and was listed in exceptionally critical but stable condition.
That's awful.
Yes. The mother of the girl, who was not at the house during the time of the shooting, told police the 2 children were supposed to be at her home, but 2 witnesses, Cavante Wilson and Roderick Haynes, told investigators they were watching basketball when the 3-year-old boy found the gun, which belonged to Wilson. Wilson, who had previous arrests, including grand theft, is facing charges such as carrying a concealed firearm and failure to store a firearm.
It is NBA playoff season. I can understand being distracted from your childcare duties. The action's like it hasn't been all year.
Listen, playoffs were very
Playoffs.
Yeah, a somber story to end on, but maybe it's time to wrap things up and get ready for After Dark, which, as we mentioned earlier, exclusive content for our Patreon subscribers. The last Thursday of each month, we do our pajama party where we let all of our subscribers join us live on the stream. So that will start in a little over 20 minutes from now. So just go to ronandbrianpodcast.com, click in the upper right-hand corner, join at a bronze level or higher to join us live. In addition, you get some great swag when Brian remembers to send it out. But it's really good stuff, folks. Ugh. A zinger, Ed. Brian, you look perplexed.
I'm a little offended.
A little offended?
If I remember to send it out.
Well, if you remember to deliver it, if you put it in your calendar, let's say.
I should research tonight what
And more importantly, we want everyone to have a safe, happy, enjoyable holiday weekend. Remember what Memorial Day is all about, honoring those that served. All gave some gave all. But even more importantly, remember that it is the start of Hot Podcaster Summer.
Hot Podcaster Summer.
Brian, anything else for the podcast before we roll on out of here?
Some of Matt's best work, we need to give him a raise.
All right, will do. All right, well, thank you all for joining us this week. For our Patreon folks, we will see you in a few minutes. For everyone else, we will catch you next week.
Thank you for joining us on the Ron and Brian podcast. We're live each week, Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can find prior episodes, links to our social media, and everything else Ron and Brian at ronandbrianpodcast.com. See you again next week.